Alrighty, hello everyone, Silver Kyle here, and today I'm going to be going over my top 10 most addictive video games of all time. These are games that as soon as I got them in my hands, I just couldn't put them down. I was so involved in these gaming worlds that I wouldn't even look at any other games for weeks, sometimes even months, because I just couldn't get enough of this one specific game. Some of these games I played for years on end. I would play other games, but I would always come back to this one specific game because I just had to have my fix. I was addicted. I couldn't get enough of it. So this is definitely the top 10 games that I've also played the most amount of hours. I just dumped so many hours into these games. Now let's start this off with number 10, and that would be on the Xbox 360, Left 4 Dead. And this is the original. I know that a lot of people like Left 4 Dead 2 more, but for me, the maps in this are so much better than the second one. And also, I like the limited Special Infected. The Special Infected in the second one, the additional ones, they're okay, but I like the original, the core Special Infected. So in this, I could play the single player by myself, and I would have so much fun. But for me, multiplayer is where it was at. 4 versus 4, where you take turns being the 4 survivors, then the 4 infected, or in survival, where you're the 4 survivors and you just try to last as long as you can. That's what I like about this game. It's not about the kills. It's not about like, you know, oh, I got like a ratio of whatever. No, it's just you try to survive. Or if you're the special infected, you try to kill. So I love this. It was a perfect blend of, switching between the roles of the infected or the survivors, or just trying to last as long as you can in the survival mode. I love this game. And actually, I went back and replayed it recently, and that's kind of what started this. I was like, I really do love Left 4 Dead, and I want to talk about the top 10 games that I was addicted to. Next up is number 9, and that is Harvest Moon 64. Now, I could have picked Back to Nature as well, but I've decided that I'm only going to keep one game per series so that you don't see, 10 Harvest Moons in my top 10 list. And I picked this one because it was the first Harvest Moon that I ever played. On weekends, my brother and I would rent a game each, and he chose this game. And I was like, why are you wasting your rental on Harvest Moon? You're farming in the game? That looks so boring. I saw my brother start to play the game first, and I was like, I'm not playing my game. I don't even know what game I rented because I'd never played it. I just started playing this. He would play for 1 hour, then I would play for 1 hour, and we just took turns. We played the entire weekend. Every weekend after that, I think for quite a while, we continuously rented it until we finally got it. And my brother actually just picked it up for me a few years ago, and I was just so happy that I played it once again. I just love this game. Anytime that I start playing it, you're farming. You just raise, your animals. You grow crops, and you slowly see a progression. And I think that's where the addictive part is because you start clearing up your land. You start getting rid of the rocks, the weeds, the lumber, and then you start building things, and you start having a few more animals. You start making some money. You're like, oh my god, this is getting addictive. And I love the Harvest Moon series. They're amazing. Next up, and I wish I had the case for it, I only have the game, and that is Super Smash Bros. The original, once again on the 64, I know that a lot of people like Melee more because it's more fast-paced and stuff, but for me, this is the game that my brother and even my cousins and my stepbrothers, we would all get together and play. And we would just, all of us playing together, or you could play by yourself, or you could play just my brother and I. We would play against level 9s at the time, and just, go from like 99 lives all the way to none and then start it over again. And it's just, I love the concept of having all the Nintendo characters together in a fighting game. I don't particularly love fighting games, but Super Smash Bros. Is an exception. I don't even know how many hours. Definitely over the, few hundred hour mark into this game. I would always just go back to it. And whenever I was, hanging out with my family, we would always boot this up and play as much as we could. Next up is the only game that I don't have it anymore. I must have sold it. I don't remember doing it because it's one of the few games that I would have kept, and that's for the Game Boy, but I did keep the Game Boy Color. So the game that I'm talking about is Pokemon Blue. Now, Pokemon Blue, my goodness, when I got that game, I picked up this Game Boy Color with it at the same time. I was like, okay, Pokemon's coming out. I need to get that game. And I didn't have a Game Boy, so my brother and I, we both went out and got ourselves Game Boy Colors. He got red, I got blue, and I just remember going down into our living room and just lying down there and both playing and seeing if, who did you catch? Did your Pokemon evolve? I just remember that first night and just afterwards, just playing that for weeks until we beat it, and then we, tried to catch as many Pokemon as we could, and then we restarted the game. It was just, I have so many fond memories of Pokemon Blue. And, trading, doing battles, and just, actually being invested in seeing what my brother was up to. I think that was a big part of it too, is it also going to school and then hearing about what your friends were doing, and just everybody was involved in this. And I really kind of miss those days when, everybody was talking about specific games. I kind of get it with YouTube, but back then it was like friends and family that were playing it. So, and it was just, I don't know, it just added to my addictiveness level to the game. Next up is a game that I had a hard time choosing either the one previous to this one or this one. So it's a series of games that I absolutely adore. And the one that I chose for my number 6 spot is Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I almost picked Grand Theft Auto 3 because that was my first, time that I played the game. Of the new Grand Theft Auto style, where it wasn't the 2D anymore, it was an open world sandbox game. I was just blown. I remember my friend Scott renting it, and my friend James and I, we both went over to his place and we watched him play, and we were like, this is insane! At the time we were like, yes, we can kill hookers! I was a teenager, okay? But that was like, oh my god, we can go around driving in the place and shoot people up. This is insane. We can get cops after us. There's actual missions to this game, but back then it was just playing the game. I remember this one though because I love Grand Theft Auto 3 so much that as soon as this was coming out, on day one, I think it was my first day one purchase. I went with my dad and I was like, okay, I want Grand Theft Auto, and the guy at GameStop was like, you're not 17, are you? I'm like, nope, but my dad's right there and he says I can get it. And then he explained what's in the game. My dad's like, yep, he's getting the game because he wants it that badly. And I came back home and I played it and I just loved it. I was like, I love the 80s style. This is one of my favorite games because out of all the Grand Theft Auto games, I love the 80s music, but also the 80s setting of being in a tropical place, or a place where, I think it's like set in kind of like Miami. And I just love all the different colors, all the different styles. It's just so much more vibrant than any of the other Grand Theft Autos, and that's why I picked this one as my favorite and most addictive one, because I've logged in that many more hours because of all the different locations and the 80s music. I love having the track go over and over. And Fernando, I think was his name, as the talk show host. I loved him too. Now we're getting into the top 5. Now these games, I don't even know how many hours I've logged into. We're getting into the hundreds of hours, getting close to the thousands of hours for the top few there. But number 5, and there's going to be a lot of PC games here, is Diablo 2. Now I almost picked Diablo 1, but I think I played more of Diablo 2. And I remember getting this. My mother and father ended up one Christmas getting a new computer. And the reason was so that we could have Diablo 2. So we had some gift money, and they said you can go buy Diablo 2 because we know that you really want it, because we had a computer that could only run Diablo 1, and it wasn't enough. We knew that Diablo 2 was out and we really wanted it, but we didn't have a good computer. So on one Christmas, my mother and father got that for us, and it was just like, oh my god, this is the best Christmas ever. Instead of getting tons of games or tons of toys at the time, well, I was probably a little bit too old for that, but tons of games, it was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. We have one game that we had for Christmas, and that was just, I couldn't believe it. And then we would have to play, I think it was with Diablo 2, where we could only play for like an hour a day because we had limited internet, and it was just like, it was so much of a tease. And then finally, after a few months, my mother's like, okay, we're just gonna get like, unlimited internet. And then we played tons of hours. I would go to my friends on the weekend so that I could play for longer periods of time of Diablo 2, just so I wouldn't have just like 1 hour. I'd go home, play my 1 hour, and then go to my friends for like the weekend and stay at his place. Once again, Scott or James, both of them played lots of this, and that was also a very social game, playing multiplayer. But the single campaign was pretty fun too. Okay, number 4, and this is a more recent game. No, not really. It's been 4 years. Starcraft II: Wings of Liberty. Blizzard just, nails it with games. This game, I'm at close to 400 hours into the game, and I just love playing it with my brother. I would play, 2 versus 2, or sometimes we would play with friends and stuff, play 3v3, 4v4. But I always wanted to play multiplayer. I like playing against people competitively, but also with my brother, and this was the perfect game for that. Strategizing, just figure out what we're gonna do, and an RTS game it's something completely different. And I've played a few other RTS games, namely Warcraft 3, but other than that, I don't really particularly like them. Blizzard just knows how to have games that I like to play. And I haven't played it in a while, but I do actually want to go back to it this summer, and I've talked to my brother about it, and we're going to try to plan it out so that we can play a few hours every once in a while during the week, during the summer months. Okay, top 3 here, and that would be GoldenEye 007. My God, the amount of memories that I have for this game. Playing this with friends, the multiplayer, the single player was great, and I actually played, what was it? There was, I think, Agent, Special Agent, and 00 Agent, and I actually played it all of them. I completed the game as an agent, then a special agent, then the 00 agent. I think that's what they were. But I love the single player, but then the multiplayer. My God, my family enjoyed this. I actually played it with one of my aunts. She loved it so much. She just like, I don't know, she didn't play video games, but when she saw that we were playing this, she would join us. So, I would have older family members playing this with us, and going to friends' houses and having tournaments of this game. It was just so fun. I actually remember, I loved this game so much back in the day that my friend and I, we both liked a girl, teenagers once again, and we said, okay, we'll play each other in this game to see who can ask her out. It was so stupid, but I don't know. I just find it funny that a game involved being able to ask out a girl. So that's just a random memory that I have. But the mines that I would play, like I would have time mines, or the mines. It was just like you would sometimes just play a game where it's all the mines. So you just like throw all the mines everywhere and wait for people to come to you, and they have to like, shoot either the mines, or they just have to run right through it, and then they'll get blown up. But it was just so fun and addictive. Or you could throw it and explode it while it's in midair. That was just, it's just so much fun. All right, number 2. Once again, another game that I logged in so many hours, and another Blizzard game, World of Warcraft. It's like, I think everybody knows that this is like one of the most addictive games. A lot of people like lost their lives to this, unfortunately, because they wouldn't play anything else and they wouldn't do anything else. I wasn't that bad. Well, at some points in my life, I guess I was, because I had it in the second year of college. Oh man, I played so much of this game. It was one of the only few games that I was playing at the time, and the other one was the number 1, which I'm going to get to, but I would go back between these two for a few years. Between 2005 to like 2007, these were the only games that I really played because I just loved them so much. I loved the open world concept, multiplayer, being able to play with hundreds of people, just going into like a Stormwind and seeing the amount of people that were there. The amount of detail at the time for this game was insane. I ended up getting a new computer just so I could play this game in 2005 because I couldn't wait any longer. It came out in 2004, late 2004, and I started playing in September 2005. I did not stop playing for quite a few years. And I do go back to it every once in a while. I'm actually planning on this summer, once again, playing this game with my girlfriend because she wants to give it a shot. She's never played it before. And we played a little bit of it, like a free trial, and she enjoyed it, but she had to go through and finish her school. So as soon as she's done her school next month, we're hoping to give this game a shot. And I don't mind going back and starting from level 1 and just, playing the entire campaign because I love the lore of World of Warcraft so much. To be able to go back and revisit it. I don't mind going and doing the fetch quests at the beginning. It does get tedious near the end, but at the beginning, just being able to look at all the different locations, the new environments, all the different monsters. There's just so much of this game that I love, and that's why it's number 2. But my number 1 most played game of all time that was competing with World of Warcraft at the time, that I played from 2004 when it was released. Also another 2004 game. 2004 was a damn good year for gaming. And I played it until 2007. But I played a little bit more of it in 2008 as well. But I played the majority of it from 2004 to 2007. And that would be Halo 2. I'm a huge Halo fan, but Halo 2, my God, this is the definitive multiplayer FPS for me. There's no other game that I like as much as this. If they could bring back the Xbox Live for this, I would play this over any other game. There's no other game that can compete with it. Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 4. Halo 4 is close, but still the maps of this are just perfect. I know that there's rumors that they're going to make an anniversary edition. I can't wait for that because I'll be able to play multiplayer again on this. But it won't be the same. It's like I played Halo 1 Anniversary, and it's not exactly the same. The new graphics, the new engine that makes it feel like it's Halo Reach, I wasn't a huge fan of. So I'm quite excited for it, but man, this game is just perfect in terms of multiplayer first person. In my opinion, I like that it's, you know, you're jumping around, you have a shield. It's different, and a lot of people that are hardcore into first person shooters don't like that. But for me, it was perfect. And then all the extra games, this is where they started zombies, where if you got killed, you went onto the other team and you had to hunt the other people. It was just so much fun, just playing all the different kinds of games that they had. The SWAT was first created, I think, in Halo 2 by people just in the community. But it was just, I'm not 100% certain on that. I could be wrong, but I know that zombies was. And I just could not get enough of it. Then the expansion came out where it was just like 5 extra maps, and we're like, oh my god, this is insane, this is so much fun. I can't remember any of the names other than maybe like Ascension, Lookout, Beaver Creek. There's just so many, the map, without the amazing maps of this, it wouldn't be as good. Like I liked the controls, I liked the engine obviously, but it was the maps that really sold me on this game. It just felt right. It's really hard to just put into words, but it was just like perfect for me. And I know that a lot of people did play it. This was like the first big game I find for first-person shooters where everybody went crazy and so many people were playing them. It was like the first Call of Duty in a sense. You know how so many people play Call of Duty nowadays, and there's no other games that kind of rival it. At the time, Halo 2 was that game. It was just like unrivaled for years at a time. I don't know if there's any game that has lasted that long for a first-person lifespan. Like that game just went on for forever. Just people always playing it. So that's my most addictive game of all time. I don't know exactly how many hours I logged into it, but I figured, I guesstimated around, and I think I'm at about 2,000 or so hours, give or take a few hundred, either way. But that's, I think, about how many hours I played it. I played it with my brother, and that was also a game that when I first left for college, for us to be, like, my brother and I were super close, and for us to always be able to play a game and talk to each other was our way of, you know, still being there for each other in a sense that, you know, we could talk to each other every night by playing the game. It was just, you know, we used that, and I think that that's another thing of why I like Halo 2 so much. So thank you all for watching. Those are my top 10. What are your some of most addictive games of all time? Are some of them the ones that I picked, like World of Warcraft, Halo? Did you avoid some of those games because you knew that you would get addicted? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in. Beardage!